We all played. Well, everybody but Andy, I believe, played
Yes.
FBC Firebreak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Control universe multiplayer.
What is it? Extraction shooter? Looter shooter?
Extraction shooter kind of thing. It's like a,
No,
yeah, it's
no,
like
no,
a,
no,
it's like
no,
a
no.
deep
Do
rock.
not listen to Vito. Not extraction shooter.
Maybe that's the right. It's not the
It's-
right word, but it's like a deep rock,
Like a deep rock, yeah.
Left 4 Dead type of thing. Whatever you call those games.
Extraction
It's
shooter
like an
more like
objective
Tarkov.
shooter. I don't know what to call it.
No, yeah, like a deep rock.
Friendjective slop.
From
Sure.
Friendjective Slop. Yes, we played the new Friendjective Slop from Remedy, I believe, right? And
Did they make this?
well,
I don't
yeah.
even know.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
of
it's their
course.
IP, but I just don't know if like it was a side studio or something.
No, it was
I
them.
think it is. I think it
Okay.
is them. Yeah. We played through every level that's available. I think that's 4 levels,
Oh, wow.
5 levels.
It feels
Five
small,
levels.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
yes and
I
no.
mean, if you've had any reviews for this game, it's got a pretty mediocre reception, and I think that's accurate. There's not a lot of content.
Well, I want to push back a little bit. I mean, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna push back a little bit.
I mean, we had an experience similar to like some of the things we were reading, where the game has like terrible onboarding. It doesn't explain a lot of stuff. It also, you start off without a lot of things that you'll get later that you don't really understand why you wouldn't just start with, like class specific features that make your class unique. So like at the beginning, like we didn't understand like what was the difference between our classes, and because it seemed like we could all do the same things. So there's definitely like an onboarding issue that they've actually come out and they wrote some article about how like
Yeah.
they're gonna do better.
I was going to mention that. I do appreciate this. Like, I won't go into the details, but they had a launch week update on the Steam forums where they said, we reviewed your feedback and such, and here are the major things you guys said. And it seems like the things I was seeing in the reviews, and they specifically spoke to how they're going to address that. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I appreciate that. I will say, just like overall, I understand, maybe a little bit more where the game's going. It still feels like the game is lacking in a lot of ways. I mean,
Yeah.
aside from content, and I don't know what their content drip plan for this is, but aside from lacking content, like it just kind of feels janky and it feels like you're playing an alpha. It doesn't feel like a finished game. I mean, the shooting is not really fun. Enemies are pretty like stiff, and they just don't have very like fluid animations. It doesn't feel fun to shoot them. There are, there's different enemy types, and they're all kind of fun and unique, but there's only, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them. And then I think the biggest problem is just like, so we played through all 4 or 5 levels, whatever it was. And I feel like the first level was pretty forgettable, but then the other levels were kind of cool, and they all end with a big crescendo event, like a boss fight or something like that. And those are all pretty cool because they're like things from the Control universe. I feel like that's where the game's personality really shown. Like in the second level, we're fighting this giant like creature made out of Post-its. But you do that once. I mean, how many times are you gonna replay that level where it's the same, shtick? It's not like these are like Left 4 Dead campaigns where it's like a really long campaign punctuated by, a couple of different, events. It's really just like, I mean, each level will take you 20 minutes to beat.
It almost sounds like this game should have launched in early access.
Well, now hold on. Let me before people start just spitting at their computers. Let me jump in. 'Cause I agree with most of what Vito said. And I guess I'll start with that part because I think that the part I agree with Vito actually contributes to the part I don't agree with him. The onboarding is shit. It's absolutely dog shit. Let me just start. Start just like every other game in existence. It's loud as fuck, right? But for some reason, but hold on, wait. No, 'cause this ties in. For some reason, you can't change the audio unless you skip or do the tutorial.
It's
right.
true.
And I wasn't about to just have my ears broken while it tried to show me something, so I skipped it. Right. Now, even when we got in our first game, even getting into the first game, right? There's 3 different classes you can pick. You can pick like a quote unquote maintenance guy, electricity guy, water guy. Doesn't explain any of that. Doesn't really explain what they do anywhere on the sheets. You know what I mean? You can pick them, but it doesn't say like a breakdown or like this is a bestiary almost. Whatever. We get past it. We each pick a different one, and we go from there. But then, yeah, we get into our first tutorial mission, and it's like this one where you gotta put down fires, and the more fires there are, like the stronger the enemies are. And I could literally just see in my head that if I was playing this, if this was Deep Rock, as you're approaching the first generator, a little pop-up would be in the corner and be like, hey, or even the fucking manager, somebody would be like, hey, this is the generator, you gotta slap it into shape or something, just to let the player know. Absolutely nothing. Just fucking nothing. So yeah, the onboarding is shit. And I think that to go to the other part where I disagree with Vito, so we did play through the 5 levels, and he wouldn't know this because the game doesn't tell us anybody or anything, and I only looked this up, only know this because I looked it up afterwards. We played like the level 1 of each of the levels, and to my understanding, the longer you, like there's level like 1, 2, or 3, or clearance 1, 2, or 3, the longer the clearance, it makes the level longer. Now, we didn't get to experience that, so I don't know if it literally just means there's, 2 extra rooms in between one room, you know what I mean? Or if it actually makes
physically longer?
Yeah. That's from my understanding. That's what I read. Like I said, we didn't get to test any of this, so that's why I'm not willing to say.
I actually read up on this too, and I thought I said this in the chat like after we're done playing the game. But this is what I read. I'll read it again for you, where it says clearance level dictates how many areas players need to clear. I assume that was like
make the level bigger. I mean, the map has to be
that's
bigger
totally
if
one way
areas,
to read
right?
that. I was reading it more like there's just more objectives on the map. Like it's the same map, but you have to fucking, instead of 3 engines, you have to restart, whatever. It just adds more.
No. I mean, I guess that could be it, but I was reading I don't know what website it was, like an extra guide. Exactly, because the game gave me fucking nothing. It made it sound like the levels are bigger, like they'll last longer.
Oh no, you're right. I'm reading further. It does say more rooms means more objectives and determines how long your mission's gonna take. That's interesting.
So just there, we did play the most basic ones, and then again, game doesn't tell you anything about this. Had to look it up. They have another section, and I forget what it's even called. It's something like hazards or
corruption.
Corruption. There you go. Every time you play a level, the first time, the corruptions are not available. So we couldn't have turned them on if you want to. But I guess those, and you can turn on 1, 2, or 3 at a time after you unlock them. Those are supposed to be like, and I don't even know the examples. It just, just very brief
like
description.
Objects
Those
of
are supposed
power
to be
and shit?
Exactly objects of power that randomize like the level. And I don't know if that's just like as simple as, oh, there's a guy chasing you now, or oh, it's 0G.
Corrupted items modify the game in bizarre ways. One object might make enemies move faster, while others might mess with gravity or make the entire mission unbearably cold. Yeah, that's all cool stuff. I wish it would have explained any of that. I guess the biggest thing there is the making the level longer. That does change what I was saying. Yeah.
And as you're talking, I actually think the closest game to compare this to, or closest series, would actually probably more be the Vermintide and Darktide series. As in, you're setting, or you're picking, a set mission. It's always going to be the same, objective. For Vermintide, it's get to the end and protect the portal, or get to the end and fight the end boss. That's always going to be the same. But everything in there is going to be modified, the map and the difficulties. Now, obviously, I think Vermintide is doing it better than Firebreak here, but even when lacking the content, So we played all 5 levels. We probably played for like 2 or 3 hours, and we got to like, I don't know, level 8 or 9 or something like that. They have a skill tree that like you need to get to like level like fucking 30 and 40 to unlock some of this gear at the end. And it sounds like cool stuff, but it's like, why are you gonna make me play the game that long without the cool stuff just to play it a little bit with it? It just seems totally out of whack. Like, it seems like there is content. They're just, for some reason, making you do boring or grindy shit to get to it. It's just weird.
Yeah, and then that does go against what they they said in some article too, they're like, we didn't make this game to be some game that you log on every single day and you're just playing it, for months on end. We want it to be something where you pick up, you play whatever content's available, and then you put it down, and then you come back when there's more content available. But like, yeah, having a skill tree like that doesn't go along with that. I would say that instead it goes along with like a grindy kind of mindset, almost like more like Deep Rock. But there's a lot more content to keep me playing that game at least.
Yeah, or to add on to Vito's point, the shooting is not great. I don't think it's bad by any means. But I do agree that, like, shooting the enemy, I don't know what engine they're using or whatever, they don't feel cool. Like I'm thinking of games like even Left 4 Dead back in the day. The zombies like Ragdoll, or I know World War Z that was kind of like built in the engine. But when you shot somebody, it felt like these you just shoot them. I think they just dissolve. Actually, I don't even think they drop. And yeah, there's not.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing in a game where you're shooting. That's the one thing. I mean, aside from all the little features, all the little class things,
the feedback.
The shooting has to feel the best. Killing enemies needs to be the most fun thing in the game, in my opinion. It's really not that much fun in this. It's not the worst.
It really sounds like this game.
It's decent.
Was like
it's
not
okay.
always what this game was. Like maybe it was something else in development and that changed. You know what I mean? It's kind of like.
I feel like this would have been cooler if it was like a co-op campaign. I feel like it would have been a lot cooler.
That was part of what I was gonna say. Was like, would you guys like this better if it was just? I mean, it would have to be different from conception, really, because this wouldn't work if you just extended it to a whole campaign that's linear. But if they had done it this way from the beginning, would you guys have enjoyed a linear co-op Remedy campaign like this of these FBC people
just like basically
working their way through a bunch of different scenarios?
Yeah, just basically like literally Left 4 Dead the game, but control themed. Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I was thinking.
I would dig that.
I would have fucked with that.
I was thinking more like Night Rain, but control theme,
I was thinking like Prey, but multiplayer.
Well, that's too ambitious. Yeah, that's like too good. That's like a come on. That's just like a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah,
but
all right, take a Left 4 Dead.
To it.
But it almost sounds like they built a Left 4 Dead game and then like they took that game and then decided to break it down into different pieces, and you'd have to like John said, chew on the most annoying piece first to get to the. You have to like progress up to the point where you're allowed to play the game they actually made. That's what it sounds like.
And to your point with the pieces, it's we were memeing about it when we were playing, right? I said there's 3 classes. There's the water, the electrical, and the mechanical. Okay, so my guy just had the wrench. I was a mechanical guy. I would hit stuff, and I had to hit it less than everyone else to start things, but they could still hit it. Flask had the little electrical handle. He could charge up the generators faster, but me and Vito could still do it. But Vito, he was the water guy. And the water guy, like, fucking cleanses you of your ailments, if be it fire,
of which there are many.
Goo, or yeah, every level has one. Or stuns enemies.
Fires.
He's clearly just better than us in the sense that, his role was more important, but he could still do the things we did, just a tiny bit less good.
Oh man!
And like you said,
for those who don't understand, water is essentially like healing in this game. Like you go to shower stalls to actually get back health.
Do you think this is like maybe a 3-player co-op campaign at some point? Like,
well, and that's another kind of annoyance, right? This game doesn't need to be 3 players. Like, just you could have added a 4th player. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All these other games are 4 players. The Vermintides, the Left 4 Deads, the all these kind of run through.
I couldn't think of another class, John. What would it be? What would it be? Vacuum guy,
Smasher,
exactly, literally vacuum guy. Yeah,
Hammer Man.
And it's kind of it's funny, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I could keep going. I guess my last point. I'll give it up to everyone else. Just holding themselves back. Each of the classes has a unique item, and they're actually kind of cool. Like, for me, the mechanic guy, it's like an object of power. I tape a piggy bank onto my wrench, and then if I swing it, it makes a tornado of coins, and it hits anything in the tornado. Pretty cool. Except for we had to play like at least 3 levels before we unlocked that. Why not just give that to me right away, And then that's something that can. I think Flask had like a gnome that shot lightning or something. I don't fucking know. It's
actually that ties into an overture point I wanted to make. So
well, yeah. So yeah, but that's just those little items were a perfect example of how they could have differentiated the classes, and they just said, no, we're gonna make you play the game, probably past the point where the average gamer would be like, dude, this game fucking sucks, turns it off, and try something else.
So that's I got at one point I get a boom box that I can power up, and then that plays music that attracts aggro from the hordes, right? So that's useful. And I got a gnome that can shoot a storm in a certain direction. So you want to use that on either hordes or powerful enemies, stuff like that. And then by the time we got done with our first session, of which we've only done one so far, we were feeling the synergies. I feel like we were like understanding there is something to this game. We were having fun, I think, with those synergies, popping things when we needed to, working together when we could.
We did start getting a little bit of a combo with the water and the lightning.
Electric
you guys
and
were doing
water,
like a stun.
Yeah.
There was a little something
exactly. Electrocute the guys who were standing in water. It's more effective. That stuff felt like it started to work for us. The thing is, and I think this is the critical thing that's hard to define, is you could pick apart this game and like what's wrong with it all day. But the thing is, you play your first session of Left 4 Dead or Vermintide or Deep Rock Galactic in your guys' case, right? And you, after finishing the game that first day, you go, wow, I can't fucking wait to play the next session of this game.
Yeah.
You know, you're jazzed for what you're going to do next time. And you know it's going to be basically the same, just fun again, right? Fun next day, fun the day after that. For this game, for whatever reason, we didn't feel that, I don't think. We felt more of a curiosity, like an academic curiosity
what was in this
about
thing.
where this game was going to go once we upgraded more stuff, and like, was there going to be much more content beyond what we played? We'd probably have some fun, yeah, but like, we didn't feel that same sense of like primal enjoyment, I don't think, as any of the other games in the same genre. So that means there is something missing here that is maybe hard to define, but could probably be picked at a lot. You could come up with a bunch of different little flaws, you know?
Yeah. My personal opinion, it's just like, it's the fundamentals that are missing. Because the other stuff is cool. But I think the fundamentals of just running around and shooting are not. Even like, the water cannon that I have. Like, that sounds like a cool thing. It's not really fun to use. It just like kind of clunkily shoots slow blobs of water. I think of like things in like, again, Deep Rock Galactic is like the best game of this example. So I don't mean to like aim for the top, but Deep Rock Galactic, like you think of something like, a platform gun. Like how much fun could that be? It's a fucking blast because the physics of it are just fun. It helps you reshape and strategize, in the map. I know it's more of a physics based game, but that is like, when I think of a water gun, I think of like, oh man, maybe they could have done some fun like physics shit with that, or just made it fun to shoot.
Could have got like a geyser move that like would let you travel vertically or something,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the sky's the limit with this universe anyway. With the objects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're dealing with fucking magic items. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a wrench.
Yeah, and I got a wrench.
So this game is nowhere near a Redfall level dumpster fire, not even a little bit.
No, I want to play it again.
Yeah,
I will play it again.
To play it again, I'm more just curious to see, like, if we play again, is there going to be more? If not, if it's just the same thing we've seen, I'll probably be done. But if we do play more and we like scratch off a little bit more and we see a little bit underneath, I could keep going.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? At this point, it's just like probably like a session to session basis.
Mind you, none of us have paid for this, and I don't think we would. I wouldn't recommend you buy this.
Can I get some thumbs?
I mean, I feel like 2 thumbs sideways right now, if any, or maybe like that's too nice. I feel like it's like 1 thumb sideways, 1 thumb 45 degrees down.
Is
that too harsh? I'm not that.
No,
the thumb system is a little exotic to me.
It is. No, I think that's fair. But here's the caveat though. The thumbs are not set in stone yet. They're still wobbling.
Yeah.
They could be moved.
Oh, yeah. Thumb jitter, as they call it.
Yeah, but right now, 1
Schrodinger's
sideways,
thumb.
145 down. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I sound like fucking like pissed at all, It's not. I'm not actually. It's just like this is a cool universe. I like the Control games. I like Remedy.
I'm not
So,
mad. You're fucking
like,
mad.
I'm not mad. I just like it would have been cool if this game was good. Or if it's not going to be good, then like why are you making this? Just stick to the just get the other games out quicker or whatever.
I love the controls and like the powers and stuff like that. A lot of people don't really care for the combat control. I'm one of the people who does, and I think I'm in the minority if you like surveyed everybody who's played the game. I loved the way controls.
Well, that's why I was more excited.
This game has really nothing to do with that.
But when they first announced it, so I thought it was going to be like a third-person co-op game. Just control with add more people, and I was
they're
really
like
pumped.
hamstrung by their own lore, I guess, because Remedy has like integrity about the things they make. So they're like, well, we can't do that. We have to just make them like office workers who have armored up and have little like inventions.
She's special.
Yeah,
she is special. That Jessie.
There's so many ways around it, though. What objects of power, whatever. We're suited up.
Yeah,
it's a dream.
Oops,
it's a training
all day.
sequence. Yeah. Fuck them.
But yeah, so that's
That's my
FBC
final
Firebreak. John says fuck them. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.